So hey everybody, I'm back. Welcome to the Soberflowergirl podcast. The guy I have joining me today is a good friend of mine, and we're just gonna have some good conversation, just some really organic, authentic. We're not really like professionals at this, but we're going to be. But I'm super excited to have him on, and I'm gonna invite him up here right now.
What up?
What's up? What's up? I didn't tell anybody who was gonna be on here, but I just said, it's gonna be a conversation, like really authentic conversation, but I kind of want to go back to how we met. So I think actually how we met was you had some kind of platform going or something.
I don't know. I was doing the Rise Again Foundation, which it's still in the works, but it's laying low right now. Had a few hiccups, so I'm taking my time to figure out what my next step is in the right direction.
So interestingly enough, so somebody invited me to that, and I had just started Sunrise. I had just started the Sunrise program, and I had just started the Sunrise page. And I don't think I've even told you this. So there were so many people that joined Rise Again so fast, and I knew a lot of them, but then I started interacting with a lot of them. So I actually went through on Sunrise and just started adding people from Rise Again because there were so many people on there. And that's actually how I got a lot of my following or connections. That's how I started, Yeah. So that's how networking works. But so I saw you on there, and then I went to JDM Walk to Fight. I don't know if you knew of me before then or not, but I was like, hey, I've heard of you. Here's my newsletter. And you said, I know Rhonda. And Rhonda's like one of my best friends. So
yeah, I think we talked a little bit before that the walk. What was it? Walk to Fight?
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit beforehand, and we were both going to be there. That's when I actually met you in person that time. Because at that time, it was I was working on a different project that I had to step away from.
It happens.
It is what it is. But yeah, that's when we first met in person, and that's when I had let you know that I knew Rhonda because I worked with Rhonda over at CBI.
Yeah, I love Rhonda. She was actually in my first issue of The Light. We were really close in prison, and this is just funny, but we're both grandmas, and so all the young girls would call us the hot Grammys.
I call her and Jen, and you now. I call them my Glammies.
Yeah, Glammies. That's it. That's exactly it.
Grandmas.
One of my granddaughters the other day said, "You literally look 30. Like everybody thinks you look 30. Some say 20. I'm like, okay, you're making that up, but it's fine. I'll take it.
I want to know which ones say 20.
For sure, me. The imaginary ones. I want to know the ones that say 30 because I want to buy them something, some candy or something. But so we met then, and I had asked you if you would want to be in The Light, and so our relationship just kind of started from that. So you were in The Light. I have a program in Safford, and actually it's for all Arizona prisons. When somebody's paroling to Safford, I send out these packets to see if they want to do my program. So I get this packet back from this guy named Caleb Sheff. And I'm at a meeting one day with somebody, and they said, hey, somebody in our program is paroling. And I said, yeah, I already talked to him, know him, whatever. So I'm talking to him on his tablet, getting him prepared to get out. And he messages me one day, and he's all pumped up. He's like, hey, that guy in the newsletter, that Robert Picard, he's like, that's my homeboy. I did a lot of time with him. And that's how that kind of happened. So I started talking to you about him. And when he got out, you're like, tell him to hit me up. Well, the day he gets out, he comes to the reentry center, and he's like very pressed, very stressed. He's like, I don't know, I can't do this situation. My home plan isn't good. It's not going to work out. So we get with this parole officer, and I don't know what I'm going to do with him. Like, here, I got this guy parole here, and I was like, hold on, let's call Bobby. So I call Bobby, and within like a few hours, his parole officer's totally on board. You were here to pick him up. So just the way we all met, it was just kind of like the universe just kind of like aligned. And since then, I picked up Caleb. And tried to take him to the bus depot. And we're both recently out of prison, and we get lost. And then I had another person paroled to me that got out, and they're stuck in Tucson, and I have nothing to do with them. So I call Caleb, and he's like, whatever you need. He spent the night with Caleb. Caleb got him some clothes and stuff. And I think it's really awesome in this reentry space because there's a lot of competition in this space, which I don't understand because there's enough inmates to go around. But yeah. So I don't know. Tell us how Caleb's doing and how you're doing.
Man, Caleb. So I'll go back to when I picked him up. I remember I was at work, and he had sent me the text, said his PO said it was cool for him to come down here. And I took off from work. I think it was like 11 in the afternoon. And I drove out to Safford, and we picked him up and brought him out here. And man, within 2 weeks of being down here in Tempe, he got his license, picked up a car, and I got him a job at the shelter where he's at now still.
Yeah.
And he's been going ever since. This guy's pulling 150-hour paychecks. Like, that's all he does. He's a mule. He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
So proud of him because we go back years. I've been out just over 2 years. So 3, I've probably known Caleb almost a decade, almost. We've been on 3 different yards together. And just knowing our past and our history and what we were doing and what we're doing now is just, it's mind blowing.
Right.
You know, we run into people all the time that we know from the yard, and it's just, they're like, what are you guys doing together? Like, that's not, you know, but we're like, we're living life. We're out here, you know? So it's been a blessing too, having him here, just to have the company. I was at that, when I moved him in, I was living alone, getting used to it. So it was cool to be able to bring him out here.
Yeah, and when I go to Safford, to Fort Grant, they're always like, okay, how's HP? Tell HP hi. And I'm like, HP, and I'm like, stop it. You're talking about Caleb. You have to be calling him. His nickname has to be Harry Potter. Stop it right now.
He's a Harry Potter. It is.
Yeah.
He went to prison at 19 years old. I have a picture of him I could send from when he was out at Steiner. He's
I got it.
He's a little baby. That's why he's Harry Potter.
And you know, for the longest time, I would be texting him every day. And I have people like come in here and speak, like you've spoken to my class before, you've sat in on several classes. And I have people like that I put as Team Sunrise, like a lot of people, my people follow you now and stuff, and they know they can reach out to you. Or I tell my people all the time, I would never put you in someone's hands that I don't trust you with. And there's no way anybody else showed up here to pick up Caleb. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, a lot of people would be like, didn't he just get out too? Or people would question that. But like, and I told Caleb, I said, I'm so glad, like, I'm able to put you with Bobby, you know. And yeah, he would text me every day, and now it's just more because, you know, he was fresh out and he's done a substantial amount of time. I remember I took a picture of all 3 of us, and people were like commenting like, you guys' shoe game is fire, because all 3 of us, and poor Caleb, he was nervous and weird and stuff.
My shoe game now is on point. I got the Jordan slides on.
Oh, Jordan slides.
Oh.
So yes, I can bear. Oh, those are nice. So I feel like we got out around the same time. I got out October 19th, 2019.
Oh, you got out 19. I got out in 2023. 2019.
No, I didn't get out 2019. That's when I went in. Sorry. I got out October 19th, 2023. I went in 18. Okay, I've done a lot of drugs in my day.
Yeah, I got out a month before you. September 8th of 2023 was my final release date.
Yeah, okay. I don't know where I got 19 at, but anyways, so maybe it's the 19th. But yeah, so, you know, how long had you done when you got out this time?
So 3 different bids on 5 cases, 21 to 34. So a total of 13 years in and out of county jails and throughout the prison system of Phoenix, Arizona, or Arizona in general.
Yeah.
Long.
Me too, kind of similar. I mean, my whole adult life, I've struggled with addiction and incarceration, like in and out of jail, a couple years of sobriety, in and out of jail, a few years of sobriety. And then since 2015, I have so many mug shots, especially in 17, man, I just racked them up because I go to jail, bond out. And, you know, I in between those stints with jail, I'd get like little pieces of sobriety, even sometimes years of sobriety. Well, I claim sobriety but I was on pain pills. And then I just couldn't like make it stick. And so, you know, so when you got out, like a huge problem for me was QR codes. Did you know what that is? Could you like do it when you got out? Were you just like, oh yeah, I know what this is? I
kind of knew what a QR code was from when because I was out. I did 6 years and a month on this last one. So I was out like a year or so before that. So I know I'm pretty quick with technology. So I knew a little bit. My biggest problem was the chip in the credit card.
Same, still.
Yeah, we went to Circle K, and I had gotten picked up from the program I went through, And I got out. I was like, well, it's all or nothing. And I walked in by myself. And the minute I walked in, my hands are like shaking. Yeah. I grabbed my drink, my cigarettes. I was smoking at the time. And I go to the register and it says to stick the chip in. So I'm putting a JPay card in a chip reader that has no chip.
Right.
And the lady's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I don't know. And she sees the card. She goes, oh, I understand. And she does it for me.
Yeah. The tap thing, I'm like, what? And it just, the whole chip thing is a trip. Like, and then the tap, I barely figured that out. I still do get so frustrated with some technology, and it's because I like get overstimulated. When I had to call and like set up a credit, like call a number and like not talk to a person and put some numbers in and stuff, I would just get so overstimulated and so upset. I just end up hanging up. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this stuff. I'm never going to like calm down. But I was the same as you. I was just shaky. I had all this adrenaline for a long time. But I knew what I wanted to do, and I'd already set it in motion in prison. And that's just like what we're doing right here. I wanted to do a podcast. I'm waiting for podcast equipment. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it, like, and grow it and make it better.
Yeah. So, it's all about being authentic. People are going to like that more than anything.
For sure. So, and like, have you had some struggles since you got out? Like, what do you want to talk about? What do you feel open to talk about?
I'm open to talk about it all.
Okay, spill it.
I wouldn't say it's struggles. I'm going to just say it's life.
Yeah,
life,
for sure.
I got off parole March 5th for the first time in 15 years. I got off supervision. Right around that time, I had a little slip. I relapsed, but I put myself where I needed to be, and I've been good since. Since then, I got to go work somewhere that I was super happy about, that it took me a long time to get there.
Right.
And that was cut short because God has his own plans for us. So we might want stuff so much that it's not really what's for us. So this moment of time, you said something about the struggle. I think I've been out of work for about 3 months. I've been working DoorDash, and by the grace of God, I got a little bit of help here and there from people close to me, and it's been a blessing. Currently got 3 or 4 pending spots, just waiting on calls back, which will be cool if it happens. A couple of them, one of them's HVAC, and I'm really thinking about doing it because of what it's offering. So, I'm just letting God guide me right now and stick with him and know that he's got me, and that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry.
All right.
I still have a boss. No, she's inviting me to lunch. She didn't know I was on, but yeah, for sure. What?
I said, I want lunch.
Yeah. Actually, I just warmed up some food we already had, but that, like you say, God, whatever happens, I started this newsletter before I got out, and it's so strange. And it just started out with 40 people. Well, you've been in, I swear, if you go back, you've been in it like a lot of times there. You've appeared.
I think it was like 17 and a half.
Yeah. But so I sent it in, and then it goes into all kinds of different yards and all that. And it's always been my goal to, that I was going to get it on the tablet, and I'm going to reach as many people as I want to, or as I can. And that's been my goal. But, I'd run into these roadblocks, and then I run into somebody who's going to put it on there for me, and then that falls through. It's a huge disaster. But I've always really liked the fact that they can open it and hold it in their hands. Like, it's really authentic. And I want it to go who wants to get it. And when I go into prisons and people are like, oh, you're that girl, like, can I get it? And so me sending it to people, that's always been huge with me. So then we come from this thing a couple months ago where there's this rumor that everything's going to go paperless. And I knew it was coming anyways, because a lot of places I send my newsletter to, it does. So it's to stop the flow of drugs, whatever, you know what I mean? And the world's going paperless. And I'm like, for a split second, I'm like, all right, this sucks. I'm going to lose my shit. This is not going to be good. Like, what about, and then I'm like, that's been your goal the whole time, is to get it on the tablets. So now it is going into the tablets because that's the only choice I have. But now I am going to explore getting it to more tablets so it can reach more people. So, it's just funny how what my goal was the whole time. Then once I got that goal really through force. That's the thing about, taking your wheel back or whatever they talk about, is it's exactly what I wanted, and it's all in God's time, right? So just like with your job.
You know, somebody once told me years ago I was fighting for an override to go back to a minimum because
Yeah.
years ago I was maxed out and I had multiple max packets. So I was told I'd never go to a minimum yard again. And my buddy was, so the day I got reclassed to go to that minimum yard, the very next day SSU canceled it and gang tagged me. So I wouldn't go to the minimum yard. And my buddy told me, he goes, you know what, man, everything happens just in time.
Right.
And it happened. Like a couple months later, we got transferred to La Palma. From La Palma, some things happened and I got shipped off to a minimum. I got my override from the deputy warden.
Right. And that's awesome. And I want to go back. I was just thinking about this. So when you were going through the whole slip up thing, I remember, you know, at that point, we were talking quite a bit, just working on things, doing things. It's right. Well, because it's right before Caleb got out, right? Around there.
It was right. It was right spot on. Like right
spot on, yeah. And so, and I remember, you know, you did get sick, you broke your hand, whatever. But I do remember one day you were like, can I call you? And I said, yeah. And you were just like, check it out. He said, I hope you're not mad or whatever. But he said, check it out. This is what happened. I'm good now. I'm going to move on. I think that's the thing, the difference between like you and a lot of people, or it's really hard just to like admit to your closest friends, even or whatever, hey, I messed up. I'm going to get back on. But you were like dead ass. Like you weren't like, I didn't have to talk you into anything or whatever. And I wasn't like really worried because you were like, nope, this happened. This is what it is. And I'm moving on. So yeah. And to your credit, you did. I mean, obviously the thing to be would be to be worried, like, because we're struggled with addiction, like, oh, is it going to come out of this? Oh, is it? And I was like, no, yeah, he's going to be fine, you know. The fact that you're so honest about it.
For me, honesty is key, and it's going to be honesty every time, regardless of what another person wants to say or think or what their opinion is. I feel like from that mishap that I had back around January, February, March, April time, I lost a lot of people that were in my life.
Yeah.
And I think I gained a couple people that are still in my life, which is huge to me because it just weeded everybody out. And, you know, I don't have any hard feelings about anything. I get it. You know, people want to protect themselves and what their boundaries are and everything. And people have their own beliefs. So I think honesty is key in everything, because if you want to tell a lie about it, it's just going to come. Whatever's said in the dark is going to come out light. And it's proven itself time and time again. So I'm always going to stay honest and be real about it, because it's just how we have to be if we want to move forward. Because when you hold something in, it like festers, you know.
Oh, yeah.
In, and say you hear some bad news while you're at chow and you holding it in a couple of weeks later, that's when you blow up, and that's bad things happen. But if you're able to find that one person you could talk to and let it out, it's healing in itself to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, this is, and I'm no opinion here, like it's not my opinion, because makes people crazy. So it's always a great conversation starter in Sunrise or whatever when I say, what's the difference between a lapse and a relapse? And everybody has their own opinion. And does a lapse count as a relapse? Does one time count as a relapse? And then I always go back to, I love how you call it a mishap. Didn't totally derail you. Doesn't matter what kind of mishap, how many, whatever, didn't totally derail you. But it is crazy when you present that to a room full of recovering people in recovery, or people are like wanting to beat each other up. Not literally, but people are like, and you have to be really careful, because I said, well, in my opinion, you know, if you mess up and then you hop back on, that's not really a relapse. But people get technical about what the technical term of relapse is. And it's really like, if you ever need a conversation starter in some kind of group or whatever, but people get mad. And that's the thing people don't understand too, is all our recoveries are our own. We have a deal that goes on here as well, that somebody will celebrate a year sober for somebody, and people in there will be like, I can smell weed on them. I know they still smoke weed. What are you, the recovery police? I mean, that's their recovery. And if I have no opinion about it, but everybody's recovery is their own. And like for me, it has to be nothing. I won't even do a scratcher. I just won't. When I don't go to the casino, because I've stayed at a motel in a casino, I won't gamble. I won't. Like, it's just, there's too much trauma attached to the casino, self-inflicted. Like, there's too much from the alcohol. That's where I used to do all my drug deals. I was high there for days at a time. So I won't gamble or anything. Like, I have to be safe, and it could be nothing for me. But, there are a lot of people that stay sober. I guess it's called California sober, and smoke weed. I had a girl recently celebrate her year sober from narcotics because she was doing fentanyl, she was doing heroin. She's always been on pills. She relapsed and almost died last year. And we did have a celebration for her year sober from narcotics. And some people were like, she's not a year sober. She's not. So you have to put the from narcotics, which is a personal thing. This is an AA. This is all pathways to recovery. So it's just kind of crazy to me how pressed some people get about the different recovery and who decides who is sober and who decides with a lapse, or
That's a great topic. I think people in recovery, my opinion, I think people in recovery focus on words too much other than the recovery. The biggest one that I noticed is it's about relapsing, but the term is called chronic relapser.
Right.
I don't like that because when somebody grabs onto the chronic relapser, you're creating a crutch to go relapse because you're saying I'm a chronic relapser, so I'm gonna go relapse, And I think if somebody has a mishap, it's a lapse. It's just like you fell off, you get back on. And everybody, you got to remember the biggest thing that we learn in recovery when we take our SAGE classes or when we take IOPs or whatever it is, what are we learning? We're learning awareness, right? So if you're really putting in the work, putting in the effort, you could learn it in any way outside of reading the big book, outside of going to meetings.
Right.
There's people that do negative for positives, So it's just taking the time to understand what your recovery is and how you're going to move forward. And it's not necessarily white knuckling it. I'm not white knuckling it because I have a lot of education behind it. I left prison with 33 certificates in programming. I've added to that since I've been out. In this last 2 years, that feels like a lifetime. I've learned so much about myself that I'm not going to sit here and be ashamed if I have a lapse. I'm going to step up. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to talk about it because that's how it's going to heal. But I think people should understand that it's not all about those words that are lapse or relapse or chronic relapse. It's all about your mindset and how you're going to elevate and get past that.
Yeah, and actually we have that conversation, and this is a program of recovery here. And I'm not saying, and we do have people that relapse and we really very much support them. But when you come to chronic relapsers, this is a program where we deal through support and connection. I'm talking about Sunrise. And it's not an AA meeting because people in here are new recovery and some of them are court ordered. And when somebody comes in and they're like, I relapsed, I'm high, it triggers everybody in there, so it's we will come support you and get the help you need, but you can't, I like for people, and some people take offense to this too. I like for people, just like with the Phoenix, to have 48-hour sobriety before they come in here, because I get people right from jail. Number one, it's safe. It's a safe space, and I'm not saying that has to be like that. It's just, I had a gentleman tell me one time, because I'm like, if you guys are going to relapse or if you need help, we have this whole list of people you can call. And one of the guys that was coming with his wife, like as support, he'd been sober for 11 years. He said, you know what, you straight up make me feel like every time I come in here, it's okay for me to relapse. And I was like, whoa. So I had to really explore and I went and talked to him afterwards. I said, I need you to pinpoint to me what I'm saying that makes you feel that way, because I don't want to make you feel that way, And on the case that maybe I make somebody else feel like that. And he said, no, just the way that you say, if you relapse, just get back up and start again, and it's going to happen. But it worried me, and it made me really think about what I was going to say. But in no way, shape, or form was I trying to tell them, oh yeah, it's okay to relapse. Just go,
Right.
But you have to be careful of your words and careful of, but you're going to have people. Hey, I had a girl show up here one day just to disrupt. She's a girl from my community, and she showed up here and said, I tried to call you the day I relapsed and you didn't answer, and I relapsed and I overdosed. And she did it to call me out in front of the class, and I did answer that day. The thing is though, I can't save everybody, and when you blame other people, but she literally came here just to make me look bad or something, and everybody in the class was like, that was uncalled for, she shouldn't have done that, But you in this field, like, especially when you're a facilitator or something, you're going to run into that. You're not perfect for everybody, you know, and you might not be the right person for somebody's recovery.
Right. I think when an individual does something like that after they relapse, it's projecting, because they don't know how to own their own feelings in that moment, because you're going to feel some emotions that you never felt before because you just relapsed off of a stint of being clean. And now there's people that I used to be that person. I used to stay high all the time back when I was younger, and I just would beat myself up over it, you know, and would put the blame on other people, put the blame out there because I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to take responsibility, own up to my mishaps, but I could put it on you and be like, oh, I'm good, and keep moving, you know? So I think people will project on their feelings when stuff like that happens because they haven't taken the time to understand what happened.
Yeah, and I did. After the class, I messaged her and I said, you know, this has really been bothering me. You know, I really want to know, like, where these feelings come from. And she said, thank you for not being mad. And then in my defense, I was her mentor when she got out, and she was in my program. And, you know, just because we're in recovery or recovery coaches, we go home sometimes. And, you know, and it was, I told her, I said, I'm very, like, conflicted about that, because again, I had to straight up ask her, because, you know, the way people view you or the things people feel free to say to you can really affect you, even though I'm pretty confident but I question myself as well sometimes. You know, we're not experts. People forget that I'm still in recovery too. I'm still an alcoholic. I've been a drug addict. I still have to work on myself. I stand up in front of that class and sometimes we just laugh because I'll ask them questions and I'm like, why do they have me in charge of you guys? Or what, you know, but it's more of a, like, collective thing, and that's why I have other people come in. Because when I went I had some surgery last year on my mouth, and I asked them, and I'm like, I really need some opinions on whether I'm going to take pain pills or not, because I know I'm going to be in a lot of pain. And we just talked it over, and it came down to me, but I decided not to, because my addiction did start with pain pills, and I was worried. I'm really very secure in my recovery. I am, but am I willing to take a risk? So for me, that's like me saying, like, well, I'm a raging alcoholic, but I think I could just take one beer. I think I can just drink one beer to ease the pain, or I can just take one. Like, I'm going to end up in county jail and probably in prison. So when I came back, I told them, I said, because I was off for a week, everybody was just like waiting. And they're like, did you take the pills? And I said, no. And everybody was like we really support and connect together. But I feel like I told them, if I would have taken the pills, that wouldn't have been a relapse for me, because it was necessary, you know. Right. Then that started a whole other conversation. You got to start your sober time over and this and that.
Not necessarily. I don't think it's true if you need to do it, if there's no alternative and that's what you have to do, and you do it correctly as needed or by the directions, what's wrong with that? You know? For sure,
because it's not like I would be like doing it for any other reason, like to get high. My worry wasn't even though that I would like it or anything like that. It was just that with that bottle of pain pills, it just wasn't worth the risk to me. Am I confident that I'll never use or drink again? Absolutely. Do I think that I'm confident that I won't, but there's reasons why. I walked into a Super Stop one day, and I'd never seen a buzz ball before. And for some reason in my head, I was like, I wonder what would happen if I took the lid off that and just slammed it, you know? And I was like, right in my head, I was like, you'd go to jail, you would go to prison, you'd ruin everything you worked for. So it's kind of playing the tape through. But I do force myself in those situations. I was at this restaurant, and I don't know why I do stuff like this. I was looking at the beers, and I was like, okay, Corona tastes like this, Budweiser tastes like this, whatever. It's so weird. And then I was like, why are you doing that? And like my mouth waters. And so that's a form of like pre-relapse right there, or emotion. I don't know. It's really weird that I would even do that. But I will go in Circle K and I'll be like, I'm going to touch this Fireball. Like, how weird is that, you know? But it's just something I'm getting better to where I can walk down a liquor aisle and it doesn't affect me at all. So I think I'm getting maybe not stronger in my recovery, but I was away from alcohol for so long that I just wasn't around it. People have told me too that when you're in prison, you can't count that as sober time. Stop it right now. I could walk across the yard and get drugs far easier than I can right here, right now. You know what I mean? So
I You have to walk across the yard.
Lean over, get it. Yeah. But in one of these recovery courts that I go to, well, for these community partners, when people come out of incarceration, they don't let them count that as their sober time. And I think that's so crazy because they're like, no, you have to start it from here. And I'm like, you start your days from whenever you want.
Who, the courts don't let them start it?
Not necessarily the court. No, that's not the court, but some of the community partners that come to court, like when they're in treatment and they get out and go to treatment. Oh, you were only sober because you were in jail. Doesn't matter. You were still sober. It's just another opinion thing, though, here or there. But I'll be damned if anybody's going to say that we can't count our time as sober time.
Your recovery date is the day. I want to say it's the last day that you used. That would be your recovery date.
For sure. For sure.
On the streets, at the mall, wherever you're at, Fry's. We don't know, maybe Walgreens. But it's wherever you're at. Like the last time you used, that's your recovery day. My original one was August 15th of 22. Mm-hmm. Now it is April 20th or April 19th. It's like 19th, 20th is when I went. I put myself to detox this last one.
Right. I remember.
But that spiraled so quickly. Never did fentanyl in my life. And for some reason I had a wild hair. And within a matter of 2-3 weeks, I was sick. I was falling off quick. And I don't know why, but my sister's mom had texted me. She's like, "Are you good?" And for some reason, that was just like, okay, I need to speak up. Because I had been in bed for a couple of days, sick, puking, dying, trying to muscle it out. I don't recommend it at all. So I called a friend that works in a recovery center, and I got into a detox. I went and sat myself down for that week and got clean and sober. And honestly, the day I got out from there, they set an Uber for me. I took it home. I got dressed, picked up my car, and I went right back to work.
Yeah, because I remember you put something. You were at the hospital and you put something on your story, or something like that. There's something on your story. You were at the hospital. Caleb, like, Bobby's sick. It was a whirlwind. It was just like 2 days, and I'm like, what's going on? And not Bobby. Caleb had just got out of prison, and we were just like going back and forth. And I remember I messaged you, and I messaged you on your story. I replied to it, and I know you told me something, but then later on you were like, can I call you? And so it was something told. So it is rare that you find somebody that, okay, here's where I am, especially with fentanyl. I'm just gonna quit and get treatment. So that like, I have to give it to you for that. But so I have to go back to the first time in your life that you ever done fentanyl. And I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like there has to be a female attached to that. Not that I'm blaming it on a female, but there has to be. Is there one or no?
To me for fentanyl?
No. I mean, someone you were hanging around with, or.
Oh, why I did it? Or
yeah.
Why I got off parole. I was on supervision for 15 years.
Oh, no, I go straight to fentanyl. I was assuming like you were hanging out with some girl. See, I'm just making stuff up now.
My drug of choice originally was heroin.
Okay.
When I was 21 years old, a little bit younger, is when I first tried it. And nowadays, there's no heroin. So what else do I do that's going to get an opiate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't find Percocets, Oxys, nothing like that anymore. So I called and said, hey. And you know what sucks? It's a little bit harder sometimes too, because I'm out in Tempe, but like I still drive through where I grew up at. I'm born and raised Phoenix, Arizona, right? Yeah. 36 years. So I still go through places, and we could ride down the 17 and I can point out a spot right now or however many and tell you, oh, well, I know it's there because I know the community, whether it's in the positive world or the negative. So sometimes it's harder, it seems like, to stay afloat because I know exactly who to call or where to go, and I don't even have to pay for it, and it sucks.
Right.
And that's why I stay away from it. That's why I live in Tempe.
Yeah. So that's the stigma right there. See, I'm being one of those people because in my mind I'm like, I am a female. I'm not saying, but in my mind I was like, he had to start hanging around with some chick. Not that it would have been her fault. Yeah.
I was going through a breakup.
I remember, but I thought, see, I'm just blaming it on a girl.
In January, I was going through a breakup. And, you know, I'm going to throw a name out there right now. Garrett Dietz challenged me. He challenged me to pray every morning and thank God for my positives, negatives, whatever it is. Just thank God and be grateful that you woke up and that you get to go to work. And I still do that today. And that was months ago. And that really leveled me up so much with the breakup that I went through, and helped me become stronger within to make it through that. But yeah, listen, I'm never going back to prison.
Yeah.
I'll say that right now, like I hands down will not go back to prison. So even if there's a chance, like they're not going to take me, I promise you that. But I'm not going to give them a reason to take me back. I'm not going to let a female take me back to prison. I'm not going to let a drug take me back to prison. And I'm not going to let myself, you know. So I've been there, man. I'm 36 years old, about to be 37.
Old.
You know, you're getting there. And I know that there is a life for me to live, right? I'm in the midst of it. Like everything I'm doing right now, God first, right? It's all on God. God is giving me all these blessings that I have right now. And then second, it's been on my own 10 toes. Like I've been grinding for the last 2 years and learning stuff. People have come and people have gone. And I'm still right here and I'm still cool with whoever's gone. If you know, I'm cool with it. If they want to come back, say what's up, I'm cool with it. I don't hold any grudges. I don't hold any bad blood with anybody because we only live once, and I've done that in my lifetime, and it's not fun, you know?
For sure. Yeah, and it's just funny how you say you're never going back to prison. Neither am I, but I did have a conversation with my daughter, so she's going through it with a baby daddy, just got out, relapsed, whatever, I don't care. I've put it out there, you know, and another thing to do with her recently, somebody posted something about her. She's 32 years old, mind you, to do with the same guy on their story. Immediately, one of the girls I was in prison with sends me it. She's like, she's talking about your daughter. Immediately, my reaction is, I sent that screenshot right to this chick, and I'm like, check it out, blah, blah, going on and on and on. Finally, I had to stop myself because when I say I will never go back to prison, I could put myself in jail over one of my kids real easily. So, but I know that now. There was a girl in Minute Market years ago talking shit about my son in front of me, and she knew I was right there. And next thing I know, I'm yelling at her. I'm fixing to go over the counter, call the cops. I don't care. I want to do that now. Now I know, even if it made my blood boil, I know now too, you can't control what other people do. I mean, I don't want you talking about my kid, but now I know, like, you're wrong. I know my child. This isn't that. But I still have to throw out a little defender. Believe me, I had to block the baby dad because I was starting to say some unhinged stuff to him. Not really unhinged, but just like really going for it. And number one, I don't want to be that person either. I don't want to be the person that's going to hurt your feelings so bad because he's already going through something. I don't agree with what he's doing, but I literally have, it hurts me to see him sending himself right back to prison, you know? And so I have changed a lot in that regard because years ago I'd have been in my car banging down doors. My kids would be like, Mom, stop, you know, especially when I'm trying to crawl over the counter and beat this chick up in the convenience store, you know, not really actually, but at that point I'd never been to prison and I don't care. I'll take a charge for one of my kids because I was ignorant like that, you know, like that's going to do my kid. I would say that all the time. I'll spend the weekend in jail over my kids. What good is that doing my kids? You know what I mean? And people used to be like, too, when Shelby was in 8th grade, something happened. My niece called me. I get right in my car and I pull up there and Shelby's back's to me and all her friends are like, yeah, there's Kristen. Kristen's here. And Shelby turns around and she's like, oh my gosh, you called my mom. So now when I say I would take a charge or I would go to prison over one of my kids, no, because there's nothing, then I'd be gone for my kids again. And there's nothing worth it. Like beating people up does no good. Aside from the fact that I'm 52 years old, even though I'm a personal trainer and I'm pretty sure I could take this chick.
Oh, newly personal trainer. Like last.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I tell people that all the time, even though I'm really I just do a lot of like steps and aerobics and run bleachers, but that's okay. But even though I feel like I'm pretty tough, like I'm 52 years old, or I am pretty strong, 53 almost. come on, like it's not cool to be like trying to beat people up or yell at 30-year-olds. So
You mean frail over tough, like brittle, frail?
yeah, I mean, what's the chance that I could fall and like break a hip or something? Or really, here's the thing: now if I fall down, I might really honestly hurt myself.
You can fall and break anything. With that situation we were talking about,
Yeah.
My hand's still broken.
That's crazy.
I broke my hand in 2 places, and I was a dead sleep. Got up to use the restroom, and all I remember is boop, 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 and I woke up in the bathroom and puke everywhere. My hand was swollen like a softball. You can break whatever. And I want to say off of what you were saying, like you would go to jail for the weekend for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think to rephrase what I said, I'll never go back. I'll never go back to prison again for a situation that I put myself in that I shouldn't have. But I promise you, I will go back if it's like has to do with my family,
Yeah,
or something very close to me. Like I will take that on the chin, and I will go back because I took care of what I needed to. But I'm not out looking for it. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, for sure. And before I went in, before I went in this last time, a situation happened with my daughter. She was underage. Somebody was selling her drugs. I knew who the person was because I could see the text messages. And I finally had to go to her. And said, listen, Shelby, you're going to get me sent to prison because I am going to do bodily harm on this person. And people know I'm not saying now, but it's nothing for me to come banging on your door back then, especially when it comes to when I'm in my addiction, when I'm not thinking right, Mm-hmm. Actually, I did roll up to this chick's house and they didn't answer, but I told my daughter, I said, listen, you're going to get me sent to prison because this person is so out of hand on what they're doing and I can't get them to stop. You're going to get her beat up, whatever it is. So I even knew then, but I couldn't control myself and I was in my addiction. Hey, speaking of falling and breaking something, speaking back to Rhonda. So Rhonda and I get caught up during COVID. That's when I met Rhonda, was on Carlos. Then I went to Rosa or something, and I broke my foot at St. Mary's. We set a pallet on it. Within a few days, they moved me back to Carlos because those weren't medical yards then, and if you couldn't go out the gate to work, you couldn't be there. So they sent me to Carlos. Rhonda's there. We get caught up in COVID. We hardly ever get out. And me and Rhonda are like, so after COVID eases up, we're like, we got to get off this unit. We got to get back over there. And the only way to get back over there is to be on fire crew. So me and Rhonda start training. And here we are. We're like in our mid-40s at this point. We start training and we want to do the pack test. So we get those big, like 30-pound weighted balls or whatever. And we got them in our laundry bags. And we're doing the shuffle. We're exercising with them, And my hip hurts and it's just hurting. And I keep thinking, no pain, no gain. I'm running in the rain. I'm running and it keeps hurting worse and worse and worse. So this one day, Rhonda's like, we got to get over there. No pain, no gain. We're locked inside. So she's got my leg and she's like stretching it and pushing it. And then she's like, now do 10 more squats. Now do some lunges. And so I'm doing them. The next day, I couldn't even walk. When I finally got to medical and they finally sent me to x-ray, they said, get her in a wheelchair immediately. My femur was broke like this much. And me and Rhonda are like, and
stretch it out, bend it out.
Yeah. And so, the medical in prison, so they ran out of ibuprofen on the store. Medical didn't have ibuprofen or Tylenol, which is crazy. I'm in a wheelchair and they can't get me out for a solid month. So I'm literally, and that is so painful. I just remember calling home and being like crying. And so they ended up having to put a metal rod in my leg, all the way down my leg and screws and all this. And they did give me some Tylenol 3. I remember though, when I came out, I was in so much pain. They gave me fentanyl that day through, obviously. So that there goes out the window that when you have to, because I could have never done that without pain medication. No, they wouldn't have done it without pain medication.
But fentanyl through medical, yeah, it's still bad, but fentanyl through medical is different than fentanyl on the street.
For sure.
Two different things. If it's like, again, if it's done correctly. But I want to say real quick before I forget, have you seen Night School with Kevin Hart? You have not seen Night School with Kevin Hart? You need to watch it because Night School with Kevin Hart, there's a girl on there that's like, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Like, it's hilarious. As soon as you see it, you'll think Rhonda.
I love her. So with Rhonda and I ended up I was so bummed out because of me and Rhonda, I'm get that surgery and they won't take me off them. They won't clear me medically. They're like, no, I mean, you're screwed together, but we're not clearing you medically. And so they finally let people apply for jobs leaving the yard to go to Piestewa. They opened Piestewa back up after COVID. And Rhonda applies, and so do I apply. So the day that we get our chronos to go move, my hip basically is broke. And so I'm like, Rhonda's like, I feel so bad. I basically assisted in that, and now I'm leaving you. She's like, but you'll be behind me. And it was such a bummer to watch her leave, because she's like my best friend too in there, besides Joe. But to watch her leave, and I just kept working at it and putting in inmate letters. And finally one day they come, and it's like count time, so it's weird. Usually they roll you up at a different time, and they're like, Bland, that was my name in prison. Bland, roll up, you're going to Piestewa. And I was like, okay. So first thing at night, I see Rhonda, and of course we're both big babies, but she's crying, we're crying. And then I end up moving across the street, and she ends up following me over there. And so we did mostly all of our time together. She starts working at Hickman's. When she came home, I'd like have dinner for her. Then we'd make brownies on the weekends, and people always thought we were girlfriends and stuff. No, we're just really good friends. We're like, no, we're too, well, yeah. But I got to see her we're not interested in all that. We're both married, but that's just, you get really close to people. As a female, you want that companionship kind of, and yeah, she's one of my really good friends. I love her to death. And she is so sweet and so insanely nice that when somebody doesn't like her, I'm like, or in prison, or somebody would have a problem, whatever, I'd be like, you are nuts. She's literally the nicest person in the world. So sweet.
I get to talk to her from time to time when she's asking me how to do her fingerprint card, or because I told her, I gave her a connection to do her fingerprint card, but then she never used it. So she went to go do it herself to go to the courts. And then when she gets there, they're like, they want 45 cents a page or something like that. So she finally sets an appointment up with the clinic that I showed her, because they'll do everything for you for free. And it's just funny because she's just running around, just all ditzy. But Rhonda's probably
me too.
Yeah. She's doing amazing. Still at the same place where I met her, CBI. I got to meet her. We worked at Greenway in North Phoenix at the shelter for a little bit. And then we all transferred. The team that we had there kind of like transferred out to different spots, but we all kind of like, the few of us kind of came back together. And I think Rhonda's the only one left over at the shelter that we were all used to be at.
During COVID, when we'd finally during COVID, being locked down, and I was in a base setting at that point, and there was 135 people in this run and 135 in this one, and just being locked in there with all those females, it was just, COVID was a hard time. Doing time during COVID was hard. And Rhonda was constantly just over there studying, and I'd be like, come on, let's do this. Come on, let's do that. No, she's just studying. And, she did finally graduate. She used to always say it took me 16 years or however many years to get my degree, but I was really proud of her. So Rhonda, you say ditzy, which so am I, 100%. But we're both highly intelligent. Like Rhonda is super smart. Yes. So yesterday morning, speaking of ditzy, Blake messages me, and he said, yeah, hey, what's the details for your thing tonight, or the dates, or what's the details? And I was like, wait, for what? And he's like, your event tonight? And I was like, still so confused. And I called him, and he was already laughing. He was like, Kristen, I love you so much. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm really smart, but I'm seriously an airhead. And he was just laughing. And yeah, love him too. He's awesome too.
Yeah, he's awesome. I got to work with him for a little bit, and that was coolest to see him in action, and how he interacts with the resident or the member is inspiring in itself. That guy's got a lot of knowledge and just fearless. And to see what he's doing now, and this music coming out and everything that he's got going, I'm loving it. He's doing a lot. He's impacting a lot of people. Definitely. He is,
and if you know Blake's whole story, and obviously I really got hooked recently on Blake's new music. So when I first started working with him, I would go back to his old music. Blake is super talented, but if you listen to his old music or see some of his videos or pictures and stuff, he was definitely down in it like we were, And now I love the music he makes, and it's a very interesting story of how I met Blake. So I get out of prison and, you know, I look back now and I'm like, you were so irritating when you got out because I'm constantly posting stuff. Once I did get social media about the 12 steps and all this, and now girls get out and do that. And I'm like, I'm just going to let them run with it because we just do that when we get out. And I think people were probably like, oh, shut up, you know? But so,
I'm still posting like I just got out.
oh, me too. But I mean, not just constantly like AA quotes and sobriety quotes. Like we post whatever, you know. And you post freely, like the funniest stuff. But when this guy, I don't know if you know him. His name is Brock Bevel from the Arizona Fentanyl Project. He messaged me.
That was that van you drive.
Yeah. He messaged me on Instagram and said, "Hey, I love the way you recover out loud," because I started following him, and I was like, "Well, thank you, you know." And I'm passionate about it. I've only been out of prison 3 months, and I found out his one of his partners used to be Max Hall, used to be Arizona Cardinal, got involved in painkillers, got arrested. They got to be friends. Brock was an ex-Mesa police officer, got in an accident, went to a 10-year pain pill addiction. So he said, "Hey, I'm having this thing in Mesa. It was called like Night to Prevail." He's like, "You should come." So I go. And in the meantime, I said, "Hey, will you guys be in my newsletter?" It was like the 3rd issue. And they're like, "Sure." So I go down there and I see this table of these people and their shirts say formerly intoxicated. And they had barely just gotten established. So I walk over and I'm like, "Hey, I want to buy one of those shirts." Blake said, "You can't buy one, but I'll give you one." So he runs out to the car. In the meantime, I start talking to Hannah. And when he comes back in, they were just like, "Man, we're really into reentry." Blake's like, "I'm sober too." In a couple weeks, we set up a call. And a couple weeks after that, he started writing the 3rd page of the light. And now I sit on formerly intoxicated board. It's kind of like what happened, like with you, Caleb, and I. These are relationships that were just formed by the universe. And it's really crazy how far Blake and I have come. And it all started over a shirt, you know, it all started. And he's like a huge part of the light. And I've been on his podcast. But why he wanted the deets last night, or the dates, or whatever he said, he was just cracking up at me. He was going to drive all the way down here to my class, but something happened and he couldn't come. And I was like, "That's way too far to come." But, you know, we had a walk on Dreamy Draw the other day and I drove down there. So it's just, I really have formed these like amazing relationships since I've been out that are lasting, that are authentic, like the one that I have with you, Caleb, Blake. But I've also developed these relationships with other people in the same field I'm in that have been very disappointing because I let myself get hurt over them because I assume everybody's the way I am. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I have found myself recently have to reel it in, because I've found myself recently like, oh, I'm a little bit jealous of what this person is doing when I shouldn't be, you know what I mean? So I have to reevaluate like what's going on, like be happy for them, be supportive, you know, but it's just human nature, I guess. But I have been blown away and I have gotten my feelings hurt by people in this same space. Like, damn, there's plenty of inmates. There's 40,000 inmates in Arizona. There's plenty enough of them to go around.
Right. But,
you know,
I think not everybody's in it for the right reason. I think some people are in it when it comes to a competition and this reentry stuff or this recovery stuff. I think those are the ones that are not here for the right reasons. It shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't matter who you correspond with, I correspond with, or if I have to talk to 8 different people that are from 8 different programs. It shouldn't matter. Yeah. Like, it's all about the bigger picture and helping each other up, right? No handouts. It's a hand up. You know,
that's right.
I think people forget this. People forget that. People get so lost in it that they're just money hungry, money driven. And the crazy part is when you're that's when things fall apart. Myself, like what I've been doing and trying to build, I've never done in my life. So it's been a mission and it's been a learning curve and it's been hard. It's been easy. It's been hard, you know, back and forth. But it's everything I've done since day one, it's never been about money. It's always, I'll take the shirt off my back for the next person. And
for sure.
I see the next person succeed because I know how that life is and I know where I come from. And I just want to see myself go forward. And like everybody else, I want everybody to win.
Me too. And I have found recently, though, you know, I'm always super supporting the people that I love or care about, or I believe in their mission. And this is why I chose the phrase I did for the year. I found myself like really paying attention to likes. And so like, God, I support them and shout them out all the time, and I'm not getting it back. Like, and I'm not like that, and I haven't been like that, but I was getting into that. So now when I find myself going to see, like, do they even ever like it doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. I need to continue supporting anyways. And for me, the thing is I got out of prison, I started volunteering here, and I have a husband, and he makes a good living, you know. We're by no means rich, though. My husband's a blue collar worker. He gets up and goes to work at a copper mine every day. But people see me traveling and stuff, and people assume I'm making all this money. I make an hourly wage. Hi.
Mommy.
Hi. Hi. Oh, you're so cute. How cute.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. I make an hourly wage. And when I first started, the stuff that I would do, like drive all the time and go to the valley, and came out of my husband's pocket. People assume like there's all this money to be made. It's not about the money for me. I work for a nonprofit, and people are like, well, how do you make money from a nonprofit? We don't make money. We make money for our programs. I get paid a wage. You know, I want to make money someday. I want to capitalize on all this. I want to monetize it, and not capitalize, but I mean on a book, on podcasts, on stuff. But you're never going to make money off of going into prisons and working with them. And that's not what it's about. People that think they're going to get paid by DOC, you're never literally going to get paid by DOC. So,
no.
But people are in it for the wrong reasons sometimes. And if they think they're going to make a ton of money, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because it's just not even in the cards for me. Not this way.
It's not. I think it's not about money. It's not about us. It's about those that are still incarcerated. You know, to date, my favorite memory so far was with JC over at Rom the Strong and going inside of Yuma Complex.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I got to step back inside. You know, when on Dakota, at Dakota, I got to speak. There was probably like 30, 40 guys in there, and I knew probably like 5, 6 of them. But it was so cool because I did a lot of time with a few of them, and then I got to and talk, and then going into Cheyenne. That's a whole nother story. But the big part was that I didn't know about is on the way home, I got to go inside the juvenile facility.
Yeah.
Now I got a connection with these kids that are 17, turning 18. I receive letters today. I still receive letters from, you know, and I correspond just to talk with them and see how they're doing. And I think that was the best thing, is that right there is what stuck with me, is those youngsters. The 17-year-old kid that's been 21 years. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about right there. How are we going to teach him to change his mindset, to overcome, to get where he needs to be when he becomes 36, 42, whatever, you know, and be able to lead by example for the next generation, or what that looks like, you know?
Yeah, and we have, it's just me and our reentry, and I'm over the recovery, and then my boss, she's the director, and then we do have 2 ladies that do prevention, and you know, of course, they've never done drugs or anything of that, but they work really hard at their jobs. And I love recovery, but I tell people all the time, prevention is where it's at, because once you get somebody in the system, or a fentanyl addict, it's really hard to get people off fentanyl. We got to meet these kids, we got to meet it head on before it's a problem. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but what are our other options? Because fentanyl is killing so many people. How many fentanyl addicts do you know you can go pluck off the street and let mama put you into rehab, and it's just going to work out like that? Not very many, not a lot.
It does.
Before.
It took me, like I said, I did 3 different sentences on 5 different cases. I was in addiction for 15 years. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm out of it now, because I'm still working on myself today, and I don't even know what would be, what's the word? Is she sneaking up on me?
She was. She's not back there now, but she was just like checking it. She's so cute.
She's adorable. The answer to the fentanyl is, I made a post about fentanyl becoming what is it? Like they call anthrax. It's like a
weapon of mass destruction or something like that.
Man, mass destruction. I shared that post, and you should see the comments on it and whether people are saying and how they're going at it. You know what I mean? Talking about it. Even though it's mass destruction, they need to put more guidelines to it, because if it's not being used as mass destruction and somebody has it selling it, they're not going to get life in prison, right? My buddy Tommy made a good point when he said that. They're not going to get life in prison because they're not using it as a weapon.
Right.
So there's loopholes in that. So there's got to be guidelines and restrictions to this substance so that people are not wanting to touch it. Like for me, I can't do Suboxone. I can't take Suboxone normally because when I was in prison, I abused it, right? So I can't take it normally because when I'm using it, it feels to me like I'm getting high. It's not fix myself. Mm-hmm. So like fentanyl, there's got to be something that people look at it like, oh, I can't touch that because, if I touch the stove, I'm going to burn my hand. If I touch fentanyl, I'm going to go to prison. Like there's got to be something to help instill it within people not to touch it or be around it. And I don't know why when you drive around the streets of Phoenix, you see somebody hunched over, or the people sleeping on the sidewalk, or you like right now it's wintertime. I'm noticing the homeless population is starting to grow right now. On I-17 and Northern on the access roads, there's 20, 30 people, shopping carts lined up, all bundled together coming up. During the summer, you didn't see that. But now it's winter. Now you're seeing more of it. Like, doesn't that make you want to stop? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, but I know so many people, it is a trip. And the same thing with heroin. Like you can get it, you can be in prison, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 years and get out. And even though it destroyed your life, maybe you've been too far removed from it. That's why I tell people play the tape through. I do this really powerful guided meditation with my people called Snapshot. And we take them back to like, go back to your very worst place. What were you wearing? What do you smell? How do you feel? What happened? Whatever. Like we're not trying to dig them back through it, but it's very deep. And now you take a snapshot of that because it's a sick feeling and you keep it with you. So maybe you can remember that. And people say stuff like that doesn't work. I played the tape through that day with the buzz ball, even though I wasn't going to drink it, or I played the tape through with the thing with my daughter and what she's going through. I have another daughter that started telling me some stuff one day, and I said, stop telling me right now because it's going to make me so angry. Like, at least I can stop it. Before I would have been like, oh, I'm in my car coming over there. You know what I mean? Acting totally reckless, trying to fight with people that could beat me up, like men, whatever. You know what I mean? Just no conscious of what's right and wrong. But the thing with fentanyl is I know girls that I was in prison with that swore they'd never do it again, whatever. But then they get out and then they die of a fentanyl overdose and they did so good. And you're right. Like, it's just, this is where about AA though. It's the obsession. It's like the obsession of our mind, because by that point, our bodies aren't craving it. If you've been sober, you might still crave it, but you're not physically sick from it. So it's just this obsession in our mind. And I've never done fentanyl, but it must make you feel so good that
it doesn't make you feel so good. It doesn't. I firsthand, I know it doesn't. Like, it's weird. So for me, I would say I'm ADHD, because if I do fentanyl or opiates, I'm boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
If I do opposite, I'm out. So that's all it was for me is a release,
Yeah.
It's a release. I think it's a release of people using the release, because you got, like, again, when you're not talking about something, you're building up so much pressure within,
right,
and festering on something that happened because you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then finally say I'm going through that, right? And I call you, hey, Kristen, check this out. And finally I get to talk to you about it. My endorphins, I'm experiencing that release, right? And I'm getting that chemical release or whatever with the endorphins. So I'm feeling that let go. And I think same type of concept when you use a substance, or if somebody's a cutter, or if somebody's, whatever they might be in their addiction. I think it's all release. I think it's just a moment of clarity that even though you're becoming sick, or even though you are doing something that you shouldn't be, like, you are feeling the simple fact that you're still alive, and I think that's what it comes down to.
And I do get it somewhat, because with alcohol, I wasn't drinking to have a buzz. I wasn't drinking because it numbed anything. I literally, for the last probably 6 months, maybe more, probably more, I drank to not be sick. I drank to be well. So I do get the opiate thing. And I don't think people realize how sick you can get off alcohol. Like, that's one of that and benzos are only the two, like, withdrawals really that you can die from. I would get myself all the way weaned off alcohol or go to detox for a week. And just within a few days, I can just take 2 shots, because I knew it was going to make me sick, but I wouldn't think about it. All I wanted was that burn. You know what I mean? This is the first time since I've been out of prison, but I had something happen a couple weeks ago and it got really stressed me out. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened could ruin everything I've worked for. And in my mind, I was like, I need a drink. And not that I would even, but it was just like automatic. It wasn't something, because that's what's been the cause and the cure for my pain for so long that it's just kind of ingrained in me. But yeah, so I do kind of get it. Well, we're coming up on an hour. That's crazy.
I see an hour 4.
An hour and 4. Hey, well, me and you can sit and chop it up like this anyway, so.
I appreciate you for having me come on and talk about stuff like this. It really, it grounds me. It brings me back, you know what I mean? Life isn't easy out here, but it's worth it, you know?
Sure.
And just thank you.
Yeah.
For everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that you do, it's an inspiration. And I'm very grateful to know you and be able to be a part of the things you got going on from a distance, you know? And it's been awesome. I'm just excited to see what the next couple of years bring.